And today I'm going to talk about You Know Nothing, or Do You? And I've tried to make this talk as accessible as possible, also thanks to the organizers who really provided some great resources on how to do that. If there's anything in here which makes it hard for you to follow, just scream. I tend to speak very fast when I'm nervous. So yeah, just stop me when I do that. Okay, and now a question for you. Who in this room is not a developer? Just give me a quick raise of hands. Okay, yeah, some people. This talk is narrated from a very technical perspective, my perspective. The thing is, I'm very convinced that the gist of it is applicable regardless of your chosen profession. So when I mention some techie things, please don't feel excluded. Just imagine to replace it with whatever your profession is using. So, okay. With that out of the way, hi, I'm Sascha. And I'm a full-stack developer, backend developer / technical solution architect. That's a fancy word of saying I deal with customers. And I work at Groundcentrics in Cologne. We are mostly working in IoT projects, not exclusively. We call ourselves a system integrator. That just has a nice ring to it. And during my career, I did a whole bunch of things. I built some backend services in Java and Node.js back when Node was in the beta and pretty cool. I also wrote some responsive websites with CSS, pure JavaScript, Vue, also some Elm. I shaped iOS apps with Objective-C and Swift. I did some embedded development in C, never again. And I built big backend systems and Elixir at my current employer. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Wolf4Earth, or just visit my website, everything is linked there. Yeah, okay, so this talk is about Jon Snow. No. I'm kidding, of course. But you knew there would be a Game of Thrones joke in here, right? Okay. This talk is about knowledge sharing. And knowledge sharing can take a variety of forms. It can be writing blog posts, answering questions on a message board, recording videos or podcasts, but maybe step-by-step things. It can be speaking on a conference, as I'm doing right now. It can also maybe be most important, is teaching your colleagues. So when they have an issue or a question and you go to them and help them through it. And I think we all agree that knowledge sharing is important because we all rely in some fashion on it on a day-to-day basis. Could be by either getting help from a colleague or by reading an article on a platform such as Medium. And I've tried to find some up-to-date numbers on how many stories are published there last year, but I only found them for 2016. So yeah, there's that. There's 7.5 million posts published in 2016. I'm pretty sure there are more last year. And a lot of them are free, not all of them. You have this weird Medium Plus thing I think nobody's using, but yeah, you find a lot of very helpful articles on there. I'm pretty sure everybody of you, at least at some point, read an article and was like, okay, this is really helpful, thank you. And even more than that, Wikipedia relies on a lot of people who freely share their knowledge. There are around 35 million registered users, and nearly 47 million articles in all languages, you must say. In English, it's nearly 6 million, which is still a very impressive number. And I definitely have been on Wikipedia more than one time. It can be a bit verbose in the words they're using, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, it's definitely helpful. And for the devs here, StackOverflow, for everybody who doesn't know it, it's like a questions and answer board where you can ask questions and get answers. No surprise there. And 85% of developers say they use it nearly daily or weekly. So it definitely plays a huge role in our industry. And there are also 10 million users with 26 million answers for nearly 70 million questions. So a lot of volunteers, again, giving the knowledge away freely, or they close your question because it's a duplicate. Yeah, that's a lot of knowledge, right? I mean, like, whew. And that can be a bit intimidating. You read all these answers of these questions and you think like, man, this guy really knows this stuff, or this person, and what could I possibly contribute to that? I mean, they seem so smart, they seem to have like all the answers, and in our day-to-day life we already struggle to keep up with our ever-moving industry. I mean, Vue, React, JavaScript, TypeScript, Reason, Elm, whatever. Every week something new pops up, and every day we think, okay, I have to learn this new hot thing. And then we try to keep up and we learn things. And maybe we ask a question and suddenly people come along and say, hey, you're doing it wrong. Why are you using Angular? Oh, that's so 2005. You should use React or Reason or whatever. Or your backend is not written in Go, sheesh. And yeah, this forms our perception of how a job as a developer looks like. And we can come to the conclusion that a good developer should know it all. Like he has awesome tech skills, he knows it all, and he's incredibly productive. He just dishes out high quality code all the time. And as a blazing fast learner, I mean, how else could he possibly deal with all the things which are popping up? And yeah, some soft skills are important, but I mean, in the end, it's all about productivity, right? So we think like, okay, I'm just gonna keep learning, and then someday, then I'm gonna be a great dev, and I can finally start to write my own blog posts or do my videos or whatever. And when we do that, we actually try to avoid embarrassment. It all boils down to this. We don't want to be that person who asks the stupid questions. We don't want to be that person who makes a suggestion which is weird or not feasible because of something. So we don't answer that Stack Overflow question. Don't do that talk on a meetup. Don't offer help. Don't prepare a workshop in the company. Don't record a video. Don't write a blog post. And maybe we don't even give input during a meeting, depending on your company's culture. And who could blame us? We are, like I said, living in a fast-moving industry, and that means we have to learn all the time, but at the same time, we still have to write some code to actually deliver at work. I mean, we have to earn our money. And this is stressful. This is really stressful, so we just don't bother with sharing. We're just, okay, I'm gonna keep learning, I'm gonna write in code, and then at some point, I'm gonna be ready. And maybe you write even a blog post, but never publish it, just as Joe said. Or maybe you record a video and just never upload it because you're afraid of somebody making fun of you. Does that sound familiar? It certainly does for me. And yeah, if that sounds familiar, then welcome to the club, because I'm today here to talk about my story. I'm in this industry for like 5 years, a bit more, 8 if you want to count my trainee time. And spoiler, this doesn't end. There's like no point in time where like, okay, now I'm ready, now I'm a great dev, now I can share my knowledge finally. There's always something new you can learn. And I always try to absorb knowledge as fast as I could. And as it turned out, I'm pretty good at it. But it led to exhaustion. I was always tired, all the time. I even put more on my plate. I tried to get a certificate for a Microsoft Azure platform and to put it on my CV. And my exhaustion turned into depression. And I came home and slumped on the couch, couldn't motivate myself to do anything at all. And only after my wife repeatedly begged me to go to therapy, I did. That was about a year ago. And I'm still working on it. And today I'm telling you what I've painfully learned during this time, because let me tell you, therapists really can ask these pesky questions. And so maybe you don't make the same mistakes. You see, I didn't suddenly recognize, oh my God, I know everything, I'm awesome. But instead, I developed a new frame of mind. I changed my perspective on my work. I changed how I view the things I do. And the next few slides, I'm trying to convey what that means. So we're going to make a small detour away from knowledge sharing, but please stick with me. It all comes back to this again. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So in the tech industry, or wherever industry you're working on, we focus a lot on tech skills. So it means design patterns, specific languages we're using, technologies, Kafka, whatever, you can name it. And we call the people who are really good at these like code ninjas or rockstar developers. But let me ask you, what does it actually tell us about a person? Because you see, we see this tiny part of a person, let's say his ability to write JavaScript, and we say, yep, this is a great developer, he really knows his JavaScript. But we lose sight of all the other parts. I mean, a person is more than their ability to write JavaScript. Their interests, their hobbies, so on and so forth. And only everything put together actually forms a whole person, which is more than the sum of their parts. And it all comes prepackaged. It's all together. You can't hire their ability to write JavaScript, you hire the whole person. So let's do a little experiment. And please think of somebody you respect, truly respect. It can be somebody you know personally, it can be a YouTuber, a blogger, whatever. A social media idol. Cool if we would have to do, they have something to do with technology, but they don't have to. And now ask yourself, what exactly do you respect about them? So, is it the ability to write awesome code? That's the only thing we respect about them? Or maybe they have great communication skills. They can break down a complex topic and explain it to you. Or they're just empathic and patient, so you can always come to them with an issue you have and they always lead you through it. Maybe they're just fun to interact with. It's always great to have them around, and it's a great working environment with them. Maybe they're interested in a variety of topics, and they prompt you to learn new things. I could go on here, and there are probably lots of other things you respect about them, lots of other qualities. The point I'm trying to make here is that we are not a walking tech stack. We are more than that. And the first check at Concentrix where I'm working is actually, yeah, sure, we look at the CV and see if like it's basic in order, but then when we first have a call with them, we don't try to find out, does he know how REST works? But we try to find out, okay, does this person fit culturally in our company? Because he can always learn on the job. Like I said, we're using Elixir, that's a language you probably never heard of. And so you can't expect that people know it. And then at the end of the day, when you go through our application process, the whole team votes if they want to have you on the team. So you have to really fit into the company. We are a small company, you can say, yeah, whatever, these guys over there in Germany, I don't care what they're doing. But Google had a similar realization, and they have teams with super smart people, I think we can all agree on that, and they just didn't perform. They had teams who were like doctorates in there, and they just didn't deliver on what they ought to do. And they wanted to find out why. And in 2012, they started a research project, to answer a very simple question: what's the secret to a successful team? And in over 2 years of research, over 200 interviews with employees from over 180 active teams, they gathered 250 different attributes. And they couldn't make sense of the data. They were like there's nothing in here which correlates like why this team is successful and this team is not. Until they discovered something called psychological safety. What is that? Psychological safety is the shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. A sense of confidence that the team will not embarrass, reject, or punish someone for speaking up. So what does that mean in practice? In practice, that means you have a protected environment to exchange ideas, to talk about maybe stupid things which might not be so stupid after all. You have a healthy culture around failure, so you don't ask who's at fault, who can I fire, but how can we fix this? How can we do better next time? There are a lot more than this, and there's a great article from the New York Times. I'll later tweet it on my Twitter account so you can look it up. It's really cool. The point I'm trying to make here is that not the best and the smartest people form the best teams, but the people with the best soft skills. And that's not only applicable in tech, it applies to every industry. Maybe some of you are now thinking, oh my God, no, I don't have soft skills. How could I possibly be a good developer then? Wait, we're getting there. The thing is, when the skills are so important, maybe you should call them core skills, because you pretty much need them for everything, and everybody needs them in some degree. There's also statistics which say that most projects fail due to human reasons. Only 2% of projects fail because of technological issues, and about 17% fail due to communication issues. So core skills matter. But why stop here? I mean, we just established tech skills to some degree matter, of course. I mean, you have to write at least you have the ability to write some code, but also soft skills / core skills matter. So why not other skills? And I'm talking here about skills you acquire through things you do in your free time. And to give you some examples, here are some things which I discovered I learned while not coding, which are very useful. For example, I play a lot of League of Legends, or I used to play a lot of League of Legends. And if you don't know, League of Legends is like an online game you play with 4 other potentially random people. And you play against 5 other people and you try to defeat them. And this is a very stressful team situation. And when somebody makes a mistake, for example, they die, it's not very helpful when you say, oh my God, you're a noob. They're not going to play better after that. So I learned, okay, maybe I have to be more calm with people. I have to try to motivate them. We had some games where we turned it around, where the other team was like screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. And even though it was really dire for us, we actually won in the end. So some skills I learned there. Another area where I'm really big on is role-playing games. So I actually run 2 games for groups. And when you do that, for everybody here who doesn't know what role-playing games are, you pretty much have like one game master who describes the world, what's happening in there, and the other participants are playing one character and saying what this character does. So when you are the game master, you have to have very clear communication, because the things you say is the only thing people in the room have to actually judge what they want to do now. You have to be very patient, because you're going to give hints to your players which you think are obvious, and they're going to miss them all. And you have to have at least some degree of organizational skills, because you should remember what happened 5 episodes ago. It's really cool when something they did back then bites them in the ass now. So that's like a good group of skills to have when you run a role-playing system game. And so I would like to hear from you, what are the skills you think you've acquired through not your work, but through other areas? Please give me like a tweet on Twitter or something like that. I would be really curious what you learned in your dancing classes, for example. That would be pretty cool. Okay, let me reiterate. Tech enables us. You have to have some degree of tech skills. I mean, otherwise you just can't work in this industry. But tech does not define us, or it doesn't even necessarily make you a great developer. Okay, now you might be asking, why is this guy telling me all of this? I mean, what does that have to do with knowledge sharing? Okay, so during therapy, I'm going to get there, I discovered that I nearly exclusively defined my value by my tech skills, by the degree of my tech skills. I also held myself to unattainable standards. Yes, as we discovered, discussed. And I had some discussions with colleagues, and it turns out a lot of them feel similar. And there's a consequence to you when you do that, which is when you define your worth by our tech skills, every critique strongly undermines our self-confidence. Knowledge sharing becomes risky. We put ourselves out there. It's like building a house on stilts. I mean, it can work, the house can hold, but when it comes a guy with a sledgehammer and bam, house is gone. But when we recognize that all our skills are important and all of them can possibly contribute to doing a great job, you have a great foundation to build on. And suddenly the guy with a sledgehammer has a very hard time bringing this house down. So we write an article and somebody says on how to use Docker in a specific environment, and somebody comes along and says, oh, this is so stupid, you should do this and that and though. Yeah, that's the one still you just hammered away and you're down. But when you recognize, okay, I have all these other things to build myself on, then it's not so bad. So I urge you, don't try to be a rockstar developer, try to be a wholesome developer. Or designer or whatever. So, but how, you might ask, how can I do that? And I have some tips and tricks which helped me in the last year. Maybe they'll help you, you can try them out, I don't know, but I just thought I would include them here. So let's start with a fun one, actually. And I asked colleagues what they would ask me. So like I wrote, okay, when you have a question, in which area would you come to me to ask it? And I also included the question to not only think about tech, but to any particular area they could think of. And there was a funny response from one guy, and he said he would ask me about Ruby on Rails. I've never written a single line of Ruby in my life. I was, okay, cool. I also discovered something new. People think that I'm a very productive person, and then when I thought about it, it's kind of true. I'm very lazy when it comes to typing. I try to automate a lot of things. So this taught me 2 things. It first taught me, okay, I see knowledge in particular areas. There was something in there which wasn't very surprising, role-playing games, for example. But it also taught me that our perception of knowledge can be faulty. Remember that one guy thought I was writing Ruby on Rails? That was not true. And maybe our perception of very knowledgeable people might also be wrong. Maybe they don't know Docker as well as we think they do. Another thing which I would urge you to do is focus on the learnings and not the mistakes. So not like, okay, oh my God, I was so stupid, I did this mistake. Instead, try to think, okay, what did I learn from this? So I can maybe do better next time. On the same note, remember you did the best you could with the knowledge at hand. When you think about it, writing code is actually just distilling knowledge. You write down your current understanding of a problem. So next time when you open up an old file and you think like, oh my God, what did I think back then? Don't be too hard with yourself, but instead maybe think, okay, what did I learn till then? And you can actually make this to a blog post, maybe write about, okay, I did it back then like this way, and now I learned this and this and this, and I would do better next time. Keep it today a learned record. And not only focus on tech. Just write down any time you learn something, write it down. We all have these moments daily where we write something down, where we like realize, okay, oh, I learned something. And this can also be seeds for blog posts in the future. Like, okay, this is something which I've learned, it's actually pretty cool. And then when you finally get around to start maybe working on a video, blog post, whatever, document the journey and not the goal, because there mostly is not ultimate version of something. There's not like the best way to do things. But instead start to document what mistakes you made, what pitfalls you had, questions you had, and the answers. Write it like you would have seen an article for the past you. So like write it for the past you as a reference, what you would have liked. Because this is mostly what very helpful for people coming new to the topic. And then at the end, final nugget which really helped me to be more calm is meditation. It's not maybe for everybody, but it definitely helped me to calm down when in moments where it was very dark for me. There were moments before this conference where I was like, oh, I'm gonna call here and I'm gonna cancel everything, I can't do this. And yeah, after all of this, I would like to reintroduce myself to you, but this time the wholesome me. So hi again, I'm still Sascha. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a role player, and I'm a developer. I'm a vegan for nearly 6 years now. I'm an atheist, very interested in theology. So please don't ask me what religion does to society. I'm gonna talk your ear off. I'm pretty big on being compassionate into work and life. There's actually a talk from me last year from the Dachfest where I talk about compassionate coding. It's a lightning talk. So if you're interested in that, you can look it up. I'm a techie person. I mean, like I said, I'm a full stack dev, and I really like functional programming. I'm the kind of guy I really want to understand how something works I'm using. So I don't just want to use it, but I want to understand how it works. I read a lot, or I try to. Science fiction, role-playing games, thought-provoking stuff. I have a lot of other interests in other areas. I really like to think about game design, mindfulness, space exploration. So don't ask me what the Fermi paradox is. Again, I'm going to talk your ear off. And seemingly new, I'm also very interested in productivity, as it turns out. And there's more to me than just being a backend full-stack developer from Cologne who writes Elixir. And I'm 100% confident there's more to you in whatever profession you've chosen. So, thank you for listening. You can find me on Twitter at Wolf4Earth, or you can just visit my website, saschawolf.me. And please tweet me the tweets you think you've acquired, because I would be really curious to see where you got these from. And yeah, now go off and write some blog posts. Thank you.